I wasn't a physical specimen like him. Or a physical mess like him. But the difference is, unless he takes me out early, I kill him. Because I will be trying as hard to kill him in the 12th round as I'm trying in the first. Technically, I'm not as good. I'm certainly not as heavy-handed. But if he doesn't get me out of there, I'm the type of person that turns into your worst nightmare because I don't fuck about.
I'm Eddie Hearn.
And I'm Barry Hearn, and this is Legends for SPORTbible.
It was actually my bit.
I know it was. Eddie, who is pound for pound the best boxer on the planet right now?
Well, it has to be, obviously, Matchroom promoted, one of our clients, undisputed super middleweight world champion, Canelo Alvarez.
I don't think there's anyone on this planet could disagree with you.
Just on that, Eddie. So obviously, the one loss he's got in his record is to Floyd Mayweather. Mm-hmm. But do you think this Canelo would beat the Floyd Mayweather that beat him at the time?
It's a tough question, you know, when you talk about Floyd Mayweather against Canelo Alvarez, because Floyd was so difficult to beat. But at the same time, I think Canelo Alvarez was 21, 22 when he fought him. So he is twice the fighter he was then. Could he beat Floyd Mayweather in his prime? I think so. What is the proudest moment of your career so far?
Watching my son change the face of boxing.
Oh, leave it out.
I just put
that
that
right,
in.
The
proudest moment of my career. I know this is going to sound right old-fashioned and we're in a trendy society, but I think getting my OBE from Prince Charles at Windsor Castle was right up there as a sort of fulfillment. Did you not hear about it?
You hardly mentioned it, to be honest with you.
Well, you know, I'm not that type. I'm not the pushy type. But no, that was, I think, my proudest moment of my career. So far, shortly to be followed by the knighthood and eventually the kingdom. Right? What's your opinion on YouTuber boxing? Because that surely is your next personal target.
I've done it. I've done the biggest fight that can be made in YouTube.
No, I was talking about you participating.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about fighting Jake Paul. I sort of had a bit of banter for him. I was hoping that he'd bite, and I was like, hey, never know, could be fighting me next. I was hoping he'd go, would you take that? And he went, I went, yeah, ha, ha. So I'm not getting involved in any more YouTube boxing. Jake Paul's not really YouTube boxing anymore. He's fighting properly, but...
How far do you think he can go, Jake?
Not very far, about as far as he's gone. But, you know, he's a big lump, he can punch a little bit. And, you know, he's putting the time in the camps, so we'll see.
Have you ever tried your hand at boxing? I know you have, but they've asked me to ask the question.
Billericay Boxing Club, Eddie Hills, as they know me, still undefeated, still absolutely useless. But you said I was like a jack in the box.
No, I said you was like a pair of braces out of control. Just pinged up and down on the spot. It was really quite Zebedee, like Magic Roundabout, but with gloves on.
So why do they know you as Eddie Hills and not Eddie Hearn?
Because I didn't know this at the time, but when I was getting introed in the fight, they called me Eddie Hills. The first time I thought it was a mistake. And then the second fight that I had, I asked him about it and he said that he'd asked them to call me Hills because he didn't want them to know that I was Hearn because then they'd beat the shit out of me.
Did it work?
True story. No, I still got the shit out. What did Barry think when Eddie said he wanted to follow in your footsteps?
Oh, well, I was obviously I'm pleased. I'm a dad. I want you the best for my kids and I don't want to get serious on an interview like this, but I've always been proud of you and I always knew you'd be good. Maybe nearly as good as me. Who do you think will next be the undisputed heavyweight champion?
Next? I mean, it's going to be obviously Tyson Fury against Dillian Whyte and AJ against Usyk. So the winners of those. I back AJ all day long. I believe he's going to beat Usyk in the rematch. And then I believe the momentum of that's going to see him beat the winner of Fury against Whyte. When Eddie is in trouble, do you call him Edward?
Yes.
No, you don't.
No, your mother does.
Mum does, yeah. No. She's the only person that calls me Edward. And a little story on that is when my mates used to call me pre-mobile phone days, they'd phone the house phone. If Mum picked it up, she goes, hello, and they go, is Eddie there, please? Yes, no problem, 1 sec. Edward! And I'd go, oh, for f***'s sake. And I'd pick up the phone and my mates would go, Edward! Oh, so, yeah, just my mum.
Barry, when was the last time you had to tell Eddie off?
Oh, it's difficult. I don't know. We're not a normal family. We don't actually tell each other off. We take the out of each other. That's our way of telling off. So if he does a show that loses money, I don't tell him off, but I ridicule him. Eddie, what do you rate as your best celebrity impression?
Okay, I'll go Eubank, and it would be something like, Barry, it is amazing to see you looking so sartorially blessed today. I mean, I'll be honest, the jacket doesn't really fit, but it doesn't matter because you had a big weekend of the food, didn't you? And we know that you are deep down a warrior, and the warrior code is instilled within you.
Who else have you got in your locker, Eddie?
So, Canelo Alvarez, you know, payday. You want payday. I know that. Get the out of here, man.
So now I go, be honest. Not a good start. You're talking to the Hearns here. Be honest, how often does Eddie watch no context Hearn clips? That's a good question.
I follow him, so it's on my feed non-stop. And whenever there's a major incident...
Do you not think, in the bigger picture of your own self-promotion, which as we all know is humongous, that's actually been a major addition?
So much so that people that know me well sometimes go to me, you're behind that, aren't you? And I'm not. I'm definitely not. But if I wasn't, when it came out, there is a chance by now I would have been behind it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Andy, who created that account. Who is the better sportsman, Eddie or Barry?
When it comes to enthusiasm, I am a different gravy. But when it comes to ability, I generally come second. I've got him on a couple of things. Number one is...
All the main really athletic sports.
Yeah.
Snooker.
Yeah. No. Marathons.
Yeah,
Excuse
true.
me. Is that not a main athletic sport? I mean, my best marathon time is 3 hours 20. Two. And your best marathon time is 4:09. Plenty.
Yeah, but I've only won marathon.
And he nearly died. It was hilarious.
Okay, I'm gonna give you some sports now, guys.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell me who would be the better sports person.
In their prime, yeah?
Yeah, in their prime.
Okay.
Prime Barry, prime Eddie. So, boxing.
I think me. Because you're like, I've seen pictures of you when you were young, and you were like 10 stone wringing wet. And you were always like, you know, when I was young, I tell you what, I look at pictures of you and think, no, don't give it that. I mean, I was useless, but...
No, you weren't useless, you were average. The difference is where you come from. You see, I wasn't a physical specimen like him. Or a physical mess like him. But the difference is, unless he takes me out early, I kill him. Because I will be trying as hard to kill him in the 12th round as I'm trying in the first. Technically, I'm not as good. I'm certainly not as heavy-handed. But if he doesn't get me out of there, I'm the type of person that turns into your worst nightmare because I don't f*** about.
I think this is a press conference.
Well, what about golf?
Me.
I think he's got better hands than me, so his short game is better, and he's got the power to drive the ball as far as top pros, really, when he hits it. Most of the time you can't find it, which is an advantage, but no, I'd have to give him the golf. Good.
Okay, in Barry's opinion, who is the most talented sports person he has ever worked with?
Oh, the most talented. You know, when you talk about if I'm going to define talent as excellence at the highest level over a long period of time for continuity purposes. In other words, not a flash in the pan, not an overnight success.
So where are we going with this?
I'm going with Phil Taylor.
Right, okay. Yeah, but talent is not who...
Well, talented is someone who rewrote the rules of their sport. No one had 9 dart finish till Phil Taylor had it properly done on TV live. No one hit the averages ever that Phil Taylor... And Phil Taylor changed the whole landscape of sport in the same way as Tiger Woods changed the landscape of golf.
Who is the most famous person in your phone book?
You, probably. Who is the next British world champion in Eddie's opinion? Let me guess, it'll be someone from your stable.
All right, let's go with Conor Ben.
What is next for Eddie after boxing?
I think probably some kind of major Hollywood film.
With you starring?
Probably.
Is it a life story that would excite the general public?
Seriously, I can see it. I've thought about a bit of music. I think we might move in there.
Have you ever in your life being accused of being delusional.
You can't see me. I mean, 100% broadcast, I think, you know, but I can see the movies. Is there a fight you wish you could have promoted?
Yeah, the two fights, the two trilogies that I would have desperate to be involved in would have been obviously Ali Fraser and Ward Gatti. Those 3 fights were unbelievable. The only disappointment from my career is that I never did Eubank Ben 3 because I would have loved to have done that. That would have been the opening to pay-per-view shows in this country and would have set a target number that even fast car Eddie Hearn couldn't match. If there's a fight you wish you'd made but not quite got over the line.
AJ against Deontay Wilder for the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship.
Where would that have been, Eddie?
Wherever the most money was.
Yeah.
Basically.
He's very consistent on that. What?
Oh, hello. Can you imagine me going home going, Dave, we've got an issue here. There's London, or there's 5 times more money for the fighters to do it in Saudi Arabia. Or London, son. You know, got to make sure you make it on your home patch. Forget the money. That's definitely how I was brought up. Listen to him.
Who is the better promoter, Eddie or Barry?
So we'll just
You're
go,
a different
we'll just
class.
say Eddie and move on.
Yeah, move on.
Okay. Which sport does Barry think will be the next to go massive?
Well, we've got our long-term projection for the next 5 years is to work on the sport of 9-ball pool because it's a global sport and we're going to make a lot of it and create a wonderful global circuit. But that's, I mean, I think sport's got some really big problems in this country over the next 10 years because less and less kids are going to be playing sport because no one wants to spend the time to dedicate themselves to get better and better. And it's becoming a them and us situation. Some kids have the opportunity, others don't. And that's a disgrace for government to sort out.
If you could take over another football club, who would it be?
Oh, I wouldn't take over anyone. I would go back into Leyton Orient rather than take over another football club. I have one club, that's it. Not interested in anything else. End of conversation. Up the O's. You can ask me that one.
Which fighter from the Matchroom stable, past or present, are you most proud of?
What a good question to ask. Well done. I'm going to call out for a little flyweight from Ghana who came over with nothing, that created himself as a little bit of a boxer. He went on, won the British and the Commonwealth, never earned a lot of money, but saved every penny. Great illustration to fighters today to be careful. At the end of his career, where he fought twice for the world title and got beat, he had a little bit of money saved up and he bought some land in Norfolk. His name is Francis Ampufu and he is now the biggest egg supplier in the country to Marks and Spencer's. And that is the legacy I want to see Matchroom leave to its fighters. People that learned along the way from us and created sustainable businesses for the benefit of their family. End of. It was, trust me, I learned it all from him. Not.
What was the proudest moment of your career?
Proudest moment of my career, I often get asked this question and it's not easy to answer because obviously one would think, you know, becoming champion of the world, but then of course to defend the belt and come back to Manchester and bring the belt home. But we'll go with Manchester, bringing the belt back.